Welcome back. Let's begin the course review. Project one. So we're creating a workbook here. It looks like we're entering some data into various cells. We're creating a table. And then after creating that table, we're going to save the file. And we're going to save it as GPA solution. So whenever you see in here something in pink, it means either that's the file that you have to open up or that's the file name that you're going to save it as. So in this case, we're not starting with a file, we're creating a new file. Let's begin Excel. We're going to choose a blank workbook. Zoom in a little bit, make it comfortable to read, and I think we can begin. Okay, so in cell A1, we want to write Graphic Design Institute and then press enter. So I'm highlighting it and I'm doing Control C on my keyboard. Let's go to cell 1 and Control V. Now I think the PDF version that you have, you might not be able to do that. You might actually have to type it out. Now notice here that it bleeds into the next cell, into the next column, column B and column C. So we're going to fix that very shortly. Okay. So in A2, we're going to type the following, the instructor's name, A2. Okay. And then in row 3, notice it's A3 to F3. So you should immediately recognize we're going across many columns, okay, all the way up to column F, but we're in row 3. So let's go ahead and begin creating the table. So we want name, ID, GD1. So name, oops, let's type name, ID, GD1, and then we have DM1 type 1, DM1 type 1, and GPA. So based on what we see here, okay, this is a school called the Graphic Design Institute. That's the name of the professor. We have student names in here, their IDs. I'm not sure what DD or GD1 and DM1 are yet, but GPA means grade. So in a university or college, you have a grade. So let's continue. So in column A, so from A4 to F4, we want the following names. So this is going to go into column A. So let me see if I can cheat here. I'm going to right click and do a copy. And then I'm going to go to cell A4. And can I copy them all in one shot? Yes, I can. So whenever you can take advantage of copy and paste, be sure to do that. And of course, if it didn't copy in the way you want, look at the paste options and see if there are other options available for pasting in. So what we want to do now is we want to expand column A. Okay, make it wider so that everything fits in the column. Now, there are a few ways of doing that. You can come between the two and just manually resize it, and now it looks like everything nicely fits in there. But I think what the question is asking you here is double click. So you go in between column A and column B, get the two-way arrow, see that two-way arrow, and just double click. And that is auto resizing the width for you. Now we want to put the following number in B4. Okay, so let's go to B4. So B4, so that's the ID. Okay, so we got an ID for that first student, the student Aaron. And then in B4 to B5, okay, we want to enter more IDs. So we're just entering IDs in here. So let's continue B4, B5. I think that was 2. And how far did we need to go here? So in B5, it's that. And then then highlight B4 and B5, highlight those cells, point to the fill handle, and then drag it down to B14. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now watch what I do. I'm just going to click and hold to select those two cells, B4 and B5, and I can drag it down all the way down to B14. If I was to let go right now, it would go all the way up to 13011. You'll see that little pop up there. So that's the autofill or autocomplete. And then it looks like we're going to go to the backstage by clicking on the file menu, and we're going to go save as. Okay, so let's go to the backstage. So when we click file, this is the backstage here, all this stuff. And we're going to do save as, and I imagine we're going to save it to this computer. So let me click on this PC. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do. So it gives you the location and it tells you to use the navigation pane. The navigation pane is over here on the left side. It turns out that I already created a folder on my desktop. So go ahead and save it where you want. You don't have to follow these instructions exactly. You might choose to save it somewhere else. So I'm going to go to course review and to review one, and I'm going to save it right there. But before I click the save button, let's get the name, and the name is in pink here. So let's copy that. And like I said, the rest of it here is just helping you navigate to the place where you're going to save it. You don't have to save it in the same place. You can save it in a place of your choice. So let's go ahead and put that name in there. Now, I want to keep the extension. Do you see that XLSX? Don't change that because that is the extension for an Excel workbook. So be careful not to delete that. Paste in the name or type in the name. Make sure you have a dot there and you have the XLSX and save it to a directory where you can find it later. And my recommendation, save it to a folder on your desktop. And there it is. Okay, so we can now close this book and go on to the next assignment.